we're going to finish off with Rich. Rich put out a video about a week ago about a bombing suspect that tried to flee, that fled to China. So, kind of been waiting to get into this one. So we're gonna get into it. Let's see what the hell happened here, shall we?
A man charged with planting an explosive device at a U.S. military base in Florida has fled to China. But he's not the only person getting in trouble for his espionage capades, because it seems to be a whole family affair that's gotten wrapped up in this massive, ridiculous shenanigan. And as much as war and bombs exploding and espionage makes for really interesting headlines, there is an underlying story from this that I think is really interesting. And we'll get into that, but not before we hear from this video sponsor, Fume. Cravings aren't just about nicotine, no. They're about the habit. That hand-to-mouth motion, the oral fixation, and habits spike when that loop is broken. Now, Fume...
Okay, Rich, I have a very good cure for that oral fixation. And it's a lot more fun than using a Fume. I'm just saying. Okay? I'm just saying, there are more fun ways to satiate your oral fixation than with a Fume.
Replaces that bad habit with a flavored air fidget device that gives your hands and your mouth
I wasn't talking about doing it to Rich.
But without nicotine or vapor and batteries. Don't just quit. Reach for Fume instead. And right now, when you get a journey pack, you get a free Fume
vaping.
topper.
I'm talking
just
about
for
vaping.
Using my code Angry Cops.
That's what I'm
The
talking
Fume topper
about.
has a soft, replaceable, chewable mouthpiece, giving you something safe to chew on while you're trying to overcome those cravings. So make sure you grab one while this offer's still available. So head to tryfume.com, that's TRYFUM.com, and use code AngryCops to get your free Fume topper when you purchase a journey pack today. Now let's skip the BS and get right into the story. A bomb is placed outside the visitor center at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida. And a phone call to the base stating that an explosive device was made on March 10th. But no device was found until March 16th. Ooh, that could be an issue when it...
Yeah, when the IED was found in a secluded area near the base's visitor center for a long term, analyzed explosive and deemed it was viable. Officials said during the press conference, but not explaining why the bomb never detonated.
Chew about to hit 100
Wow.
Ks? Not today. Hi, Amber. I've been here only a small time, but I hope to be here until I reach a big time.
Welcome in.
When it comes to security on posts, MacDill Air Force Base, get on that right away, please. Sounds good. I mean, it's an air base. Don't they have a whole bunch of canines like it's, some bomb sniffing dog? You can just like run around the spot or whatever. I mean, I guess what building isn't important on any military base? You're probably going to be searching the whole base. CIF. CIF isn't important. They are not important. And if they blew up, nobody would be sad. They probably wouldn't know how to return their own shit. Oh my God. I'm not thinking of anything. Anyway, but who planted the device? Who made the phone call making the threats to the airbase? Who's involved? That's what people want to know. Let's meet the two main players of this game, shall we? Let's meet the mastermind first, Alan Zhang. Ooh, Asian? And Anne-Marie Zhang. Now at this time, I'm not sure if the Zhangs have dual citizenship or are just citizens of China, but it turns out that Mom overstayed her welcome. That's right, Mom was over here on a visa that expired a while ago, and, well, obviously...
Wait.
Welcome, that's right.
In the wake of the investigation on March 18th, ICE apprehended both parents who remain in ICE custody. The parents illegally entered the U.S. at an unknown place.
Mom was over here on a visa that expired a while ago, and, well, obviously...
And what do you want to bet that they were picked up by local law enforcement and was able to discover that they're on an expired visa and they didn't bother to contact ICE? What do you think the chances are, huh? Yeah.
When your son's making bomb threats and actually placing them, you're probably going to get looked into by the FBI, along with some other three-letter organizations looking in on you, and you're going to be sent back home, if you've got some sort of issue with your immigration status. She got sent back home. But the story gets a little stranger, and let me just paint you a picture of the timeline here. Zhang makes a call where his voice, his audio digitally changed, it's altered in some way, says that, hey, there's a bomb that's been placed on MacDill Air Force Base. This is on the 10th of March. The base looks around, doesn't find it, then ends up finding it on the 16th, outside of the visitor center. But how did Zhang become a suspect? Well, they traced his phone call to him, and also a vehicle of him driving that day near and around the base. And after using their due diligence to find exactly how that phone number was connected to Zhang, which, if I'm not mistaken, was a Best Buy.
It's true. You're right. It is Florida. They do work with ICE, which means that these two were under the radar for a long fucking time, probably. ICE, you got to pick up the slack here. You can't ask you can't ask the PD in Florida to do a job down there. They're helping you as much as they can, but come on, ICE, time to step some shit up here.
Is to find exactly how that phone number was connected to Zhang, which, if I'm not mistaken, was a Best Buy phone that he had purchased that day. Well, they started looking at his vehicle and his home and a whole bunch of other stuff. And well, what did they find? Explosive making materials in his home and trace amounts in the vehicle that he was driving around that day when he dropped off the explosive. Hid the
Oh boy. That's not good. Yeah. Ooh, how long has this guy been cooking this up? And why has he been cooking it up? That's gonna be, right now, my big question is, what is the motive? Is he working as a Chinese, is this, did this entire family, were they functioning as, sleeper agents? Because it's starting to kind of feel like that they're sleeper agents, that they were able to get in on some bullshit visitor's visa and then go hide for God knows how long, have kids there, whatever. Yeah. Good question. But it's Screwdriver, thank you for the prime, and Noxon, thank you for the sub.
The explosive? Place the explosive? Now, at the time, law enforcement isn't exactly sure why it didn't detonate, but thank God it didn't. But they did say that it was in working order and was a threat. And strange enough, Zhang made a second phone call later that week stating the same thing. Basically, hey, there's a bomb somewhere. Now, I'm not sure if that happened before the original device was recovered or afterwards, as to send them on a red herring, or to be like, hey, I haven't seen anything on the news about you guys finding the bomb that's on base. Did you find it? It's there.
Which that does make me think that the entire purpose of it is he placed the bomb, called in the bomb threat specifically to try and kill servicemen that were SP looking for the bomb. And when he didn't hear about it exploding, yeah, it's like Rich is saying it right here. I'm basically repeating what Rich is saying. I think that was the entire intention, was to try and kill any military servicemen that were any SP that were hunting for it. And when there was no explosion whatsoever, he was like, uh-oh, did I wire up the bomb incorrectly? And yeah.
Just making sure. All right. Bye. God, just thinking about that now, how embarrassing would that be for the law enforcement agency on that post? Oh, there's a bomb threat? Oh, 5 days later, the guy that said there's a bomb said, hey, are you sure you looked hard enough? And then you find it? He gave you 2 chances. My God, was this 3 strikes you're out? They got their dogs and MPs walking around post, hot, cold, warmer. Oh, they're getting close. I'll give him another phone call. But how did he flee? Well, that's where his sister Anne comes in. Now, some of this is speculation based off of a couple different sources that I've looked over. Some say that she assisted her brother in going to Toronto and her joining him, and then flew to China, leaving mom behind. What good kids you are, or aren't. But here's the thing. Anne's in custody. Why? How? China doesn't expedite any criminals to the United States.
Yeah.
Well, the explosive was found on the 16th. Anne came back to the United States on the 17th and then was immediately picked up by the FBI. What?
Okay, now hold up. I'm calling bullshit. No, of course Canada was involved. They went through Pearson Airport, bearing in mind, if it was a connecting flight, they would not go through customs. Okay? If they go to Toronto Airport, if they're not exiting the airport and there's a connecting flight to go to China, they wouldn't go through customs, CBP would not, or Canada's, I forget what Canada's customs enforcement agency is called off the top of my head. They wouldn't have gone through customs. So they probably wouldn't have even gone through fucking security, honestly. So realistically, you can't blame Canada on this one because they never would have gone through Canada's border in the first place. Okay? It was a connecting flight out of Toronto. They never stepped foot on Canadian soil.
Wait, what? Who does that? You assisted a bomb maker in escaping. You're, what do they call it? You're aiding and abetting a known felon? Fugitive of the law? Yep. So now, here we are. Zhang 1, snug as a bug in a rug in China, and in a cell for aiding a fugitive, a terrorist if you will.
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
And Mom about to be kicked out of country because her visa expired, and well, we see it now, and if you're gonna be making babies, and your baby's gonna be doing terrorisms, then you could go back to where you came from. You could get it out! You get right out! Now, I touched on it earlier, and this is where I think the underlying story is that I find very interesting. What were the citizenships, had been the citizenships of both the Zhang children, right? Our suspects.
Good question.
Alan and Anne Mary Zhang. Were they just citizens of China? Were they dual citizens of the U.S. and China? Were they U.S. citizens because they were born in the United States?
Hang on. It said the siblings are U.S. citizens, adding that he didn't know if they had held any dual citizenship. When officials interviewed Anne and her mother, they did not name the two, admitted knowing that Zhang had planted the device. Yeah, you're done. Game over.
Which is a hot topic right now of birthright citizenship. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, AC, are you about to get super political here? No. But I am going to tell you, there has been an upswell of Chinese nationals having anchor babies in the United States for a couple years now. And
not just Chinese. Basically, this is from everything that I've been hearing, this is a widespread problem that has been occurring for all sorts of illegal immigrants. I remember seeing a story recently about a resident from, or a citizen of, I want to say it's Chinese, not so much North Korean because they have to escape first, and easily if you escape from North Korea, you're welcome with open arms. Russian, maybe. I'd seen there was a story about someone from, it could have been Guatemala, but I could be mistaken. It was from a Latin American country who basically, who illegally entered into the United States, was deported, then tried to illegally enter again and was deported. And her whole rationale is she wanted to have a baby in the United States so the baby would be considered a U.S. citizen. That was her whole intention. She wanted her baby to be a U.S. citizen. So she was hell-bent on getting into the United States and giving birth in the United States for that whole birthright citizenship. Yeah. Indian and Pakistani. Yeah, we're not limited to just the Chinese having a big upswing. And it's not even the last few years. It's probably been the last 10 years, I think, that we've been seeing a lot of illegal immigrants, sneaking into the United States for the express purpose of basically making anchor babies, with the whole concept of, with the anchor babies, they're what's the word I'm looking for? Their loyalty lies with, the argument that's made is their loyalty, it lies with their native country, not the country that they're born in. So if their native country calls them up to come, to go, partake in military service or wherever, they've got to, do the military service. I don't know how legitimate that is in terms of that argument, but for the last 10 years, there has been a very significant amount of anchor babies being born in the United States by illegal immigrants. It's been happening for decades, but we've seen a very large upswing in it within the last 10 years, particularly in, and I know this might shock you, sanctuary cities. That's where we've been seeing it in California. We've been seeing it in New York. All of these sanctuary cities, we've been seeing a massive upswing for the last, 10, maybe even 15 years. Gee, what was happening around that time where people would sneak into the country specifically so they could give birth in the United States. Their children, their babies could be United States citizens, and it can go, everything goes from there. It's just, it's become a massive fucking problem. And it's why that's why birthright citizenship is on the docket. I don't know if that actually, I didn't track to see if the Supreme Court's actually made a decision on that yet. I actually don't know. I haven't been tracking it. I know the Supreme Court was listening to arguments. I don't know if those arguments are still going, if they're deliberating, if they came to a decision. Okay, they have not come to a decision yet. So they might be in the argument phase, or they might be in the deliberation phase. But yeah, that is a big topic with the Supreme Court right now, is to whether or not to basically eliminate the entire concept of birthright citizenship. And that decision is, no matter what decision they make, that decision is going to probably create a fucking firestorm. It really is. In one way or another, no matter what decision they make, we're going to see a shitstorm in the aftermath of it.
The question I think people should be asking is, with the uptick in all these Chinese individuals with dual citizenship or American citizenship, specifically those that choose to serve in the United States military forces, and then commit treasonous acts and give information to China, well, haven't those been on the upswing? I believe they have been. Let's touch on that real quick. Have you guys heard of the beautiful U.S. territory Guam? Gorgeous Pacific Islands. Not a massive population. I think it's like 50,000 people. And it became a U.S. territory in 1986. Well, in 2009, during the Obama administration, opened up Guam to Chinese tourism. At first, there was a limited time on visas. Like, you could only be there for 10 or 15 days if you were from China or some other countries that were, I don't want to say unfriendly with the United States, but we were keeping an eye on. But in 2009, the Obama administration lengthened that visa to 45 days. You want to know how many Chinese citizens have chose to then have children in Guam since then? Literally anchor babies that they have that are U.S. citizenships by birth since 2009. Guess. Pause it right here.
I'm going to say 20,000. I'm going to take a guess and say 20,000.
1.5 million. 1.5 million babies were born in Guam, an island of 50,000 people, since 2009. Shipped back to China with their parents, and now what? Because let me tell you, those kids are about to be in military.
Boy. Yeah, and this is exactly what I was going to say. That that they'll be able to, they're birthright U.S. citizens. You don't think that they're going to sponsor their entire fucking family to come back to the U.S. Rich beat me to it with the pop-up here. That's what I was going to say. And by the way, that's also true not only for Chinese. Not only for these Chinese birthright citizenship tourist babies. It's, again, you can expand this to literally every illegal immigrant that comes into the U.S., births a child, and then returns back to their home country. Once the child grows up to be of adulthood, that child has birthright U.S. citizenship. They can go to the U.S. and then get like family green cards for all their family to come join them in the U.S. And back to we saw what the fuck has happened for a great many years. Well, yes, they can vote. The voting part is there, but it's not the focus. The focus is that they can bring their kids back, or they can bring their parents back to the U.S. They can join the military and spy on us. Also true. Yeah, it's just the security implications for this, the national security implications for this, are outright fucking staggering.
Service age, 17, 18 years old, about to be voting age in a few more years. And if you say, well, that's AC, that's, that people can have babies places. There's a lot of people in China, they visit Guam, it's beautiful. I get it. You're telling me it could be completely innocent. And I would agree with you if it hadn't been for the hundreds of companies that literally promote, hey, I'm Chinese company from China. We have beautiful stays and vacation properties here where you and your wife can have an American baby and then fly back home at no extra cost, starting at 14,000 US dollars. So many companies.
Gee, that doesn't sound like the Chinese government is trying to create a massive spy network. It's the Chinese government sponsoring this, telling their Chinese citizens, get pregnant, go give birth in the US, and then come home. And then, thank you, we're going to take that child now and turn it into a spy for us. You think that's not happening? It sounds crazy. 100% that's fucking happening. They're literally manufacturing sleeper spies for the Chinese Communist Party.
In fact, a number of them have had the owners arrested and had all of their monies and assets seized because of the scam that these Chinese citizens were taking advantage of to fly over and specifically have a child in the United States territory of Guam. So said child would be a U.S. citizen. I mean, it looks like a government conspiracy to me. Smells like one, looks like one, must be one. Could you imagine, like, the Chinese Communist Party like plotting this up? Okay, everybody. Okay, got a new plan over from the United States. All right. Okay. We watched Birthright the other day. It was a very good movie, and it gave President Xi Jinping #1 panda man, and our idea for taking over the United States. Another brilliant plan.
The funniest part. Rich's video will not be viewable in China now. Even if this video was allowed through the Chinese firewall, this video would be exclusively banned because of this picture of Xi Jinping looking like Winnie the Pooh. You guys know about that, right? Any reference? You guys know about that, right? Like, Winnie the Pooh is banned in China. For those of you that were not aware, Winnie the Pooh is actually banned in China. If a television program has Winnie the Pooh on it, then they blank the screen until Winnie the Pooh is off the screen. Yes, of course he did it on purpose. Of course. Yeah, the cartoon, because the joke is that Xi Jinping looked like Winnie the Pooh, like way back when. I don't even know how far back when. The joke was made that he looked like Winnie the Pooh, and ever since that happened, Winnie the Pooh was banned. Was it Mao? I thought it was Xi Jinping himself that they said it was. You saying it was Mao? Maybe it was. I don't know. Yeah, it's basically, someone said it was Mao. I always thought it was Xi Jinping. But it was, because a joke was made. Yeah, okay, I thought it was. Because, it was Xi Jinping. Okay, I thought it was. I knew I was right. So there was a joke made years ago that Xi Jinping looked like Winnie the Pooh. And ever since then, Winnie the Pooh is basically banned in China. If there is a broadcast, if they watch like a Disney show in China and Winnie the Pooh comes on screen, the screen goes blank until Winnie the Pooh is off the screen. Like I used to watch like John Oliver, and he talked about this, about how when he, basically for his whole broadcast, for his whole like piece that he was doing about this, that he was saying, in China now, they're only hearing my voice. They have no fucking clue what's happening because right now their screen is completely black because I've got Winnie the Pooh and Xi Jinping on screen. So this is a thing in China. So if by some miracle Rich's video does get broadcast in China, right now the entire screen is blank for them. And they can see nothing. They can maybe hear Rich's voice or my voice if they watch my react, but they see nothing because of this right here.
#1 panda man, and our idea for taking over the United States, another brilliant plan by our very strong reader, okay, is we're gonna breed them out. We're not gonna go over there and fuck the white man, okay? We're gonna go over there and replace our babies with their babies. Question from Xing Pong. How are we gonna do that? Very simple, guys, very simple, okay? Guam, U.S. territory, okay? Very beautiful place, okay? Very beautiful people, okay? One day, we would love to take over. We can expand the South China Sea there one day, but right now, American territory, right? We had the babies there, okay? The baby, the born there, U.S. citizen, okay? The citizens now in the United States. Very big deal, okay? Very big.
But by the way, I'm also reasonably sure that the US, I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't quote me. I think the US is one of the only countries in the world that does this. Now, maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me. But I'm pretty sure the U.S. is one of the only or one of the very few countries on the earth that has this birthright citizenship bullshit. Where if you give birth to, does Canada have it too? It's like 26 other. Is it 26 other countries? Okay, I didn't think it was that many. I thought it was. I thought it was only like Canada. I had a suspicion, but I was not 100% sure. I didn't think it was that many. I thought it was maybe like a handful. I thought it was only a handful that actually would do birthright citizenship like that. Like guaranteed, like, you know, East Asia doesn't do it. You know, the Middle East doesn't do it. Yeah, like that's why I said like East Asia doesn't do it. Pretty sure like Middle East, India probably doesn't do it. Africa doesn't do it. Like, but there's like something, so there's like something like 30 at the most. Honestly, like, yeah, I know there are over 190 countries, but honestly, I thought like 26 or Google says 30 to 40 countries. Honestly, that's more than I thought there would be. I thought you would have been able to count on one or maybe two hands how many countries actually did that. But that number actually does surprise me. It really does.
Big. Had the baby there. He'd be a citizen in America now, all right? And then you fly back home. You fly back home with the baby to China, even though an American baby, it's a Chinese baby too. And then when he come age, you send him to the United States. He go in the military, he go in politics, he go in the business world, right? Okay, he American citizen, but you see, we work for us. Oh, China take over America, one baby at a time. Okay, holy shit.
I hate to tell AC this, but China is kind of slow on the uptake like this. There is another particular group that is doing this a lot faster than the Chinese are doing it. I don't think you need me to tell you which one, but there is absolutely another group of individuals that is doing this at a hell of a lot more of a rapid pace than the Chinese are.
Guys, we have 1.5 million U.S. baby citizens just from Guam. It's working really good. Oh, holy cow, it's working really good. Oh, man. Xi Jinping, you gonna take care of me real good. Oh, man. I think I'm gonna meet LeBron next week. Like this one company, Global Baby 8, a Shanghai-based birth tourism company who has create beautiful memories while having an American baby. And on their website, Golden Baby 8's Supreme package is $45,000, but that includes a luxury detached visa with your baby experience. And a 1-month birthday party for your newborn. Cheers! In 2019, a gentleman named Dong Yuan Lee pled guilty to running You-Win USA Vacation Services, a birth tourism company based in Southern California. And are you ready for this? Gojin Wan, a 65-year-old Chinese businessman with ties to the Chinese Communist Party, was found to have at least 26 children in his 4.1 million Arcadia, California mansion, where he and his partner Sylvia Zhang had used surrogates to carry his children, thus making them U.S. citizens. Birthed by a surrogate, a U.S. citizen surrogate in the United States. 26 kids! Now, in order to become the U.S. president, you have to be born in the United States, and that's an old rule. That's just like, hey, we can't have some outsider come in and infiltrate our politics and then put themselves at the head of our political entity, our government.
That should be for all government positions. It shouldn't be just for the president. That needs to be for all government positions. You cannot serve and in government unless you are a born U.S. citizen. Should not be allowed. They have it for the president. They don't have it for fucking anything else. For being a representative or a senator. Like what was it? What recently? There was I can't even remember where he's a representative from. But there was like a guy that there was a rep or something that was talking about, you guys remember when Hassan basically was, insulting a Vietnamese refugee that escaped from Vietnamese communism? And, Hassan decided to insult her on his stream. Well, a Vietnamese representative got on camera and started talking about how horrible it was. The fucker could barely speak English. Okay, this is a representative of a state of the United States in the United States government, and the guy can barely speak fucking English. And he is a member of government that can decide the fate of millions of people. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? If you are not a U.S. citizen, you should not be allowed to serve in government whatsoever. Like, and when I say he can't speak English, like, his accent was so thick, you could only understand 1 out of every 3 words. Like, what do we do? What the fuck are we doing? Like, seriously, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying you've got to, like, go and vote people the fuck out. This is why I'm saying you got to go vote. You got to go to the fucking polls and vote these people out. Like, if someone's running and they're not a U.S. citizen, you fucking vote for the other person. You don't let them take the seat. Vote them the fuck out.
Government, maybe that rule has to change. Not so much that the president doesn't have to be a U.S. citizen, but the look on citizenship. China's obviously not that much of a friend to us. Just look at any copyright infringement that they just rip off.
I said U.S. born citizen. If someone comes to the U.S. and they get citizenship, I'm sorry, it should, like, if you want to run the government, you need to be U.S. born. That's my feeling. You need to be U.S. born if you are going to be a member of government in running the country. That's it.
Not that much of a friend to us. Just look at any copyright infringement that they just rip off and steal, use as their own. The fentanyl crisis in the border. The U.S. military constantly arresting dual citizens or kids that were born in the United States but spent a lot of time in China with their family, transferring over, become traitors to the government and the military that they chose to serve, and sending military secrets to China. This is obviously an issue. China and other adversaries of the United States are obviously taking advantage of this. How do we fix it? What do we do? I'd love to know your thoughts. But the best way to support the channel is to get yourself a shirt. Jump Out Boys, Party Police, committing war crimes. All available at the Angry Cop store, angry-cops.com. Links below. Tell me what you think about China. What do you think about birthright citizenship? Huh? Right? You know? Do we need more now? Do your parents have to be here? They have to have green card members? Sloppy. All right. See you next time, weirdos. So, why can't I whistle today?
Holy shit. Damn. Yeah, this is like really highlighting a huge fucking problem. You're gonna have to see what happens with the Supreme Court case. Like I said, no matter what happens here, regardless of what happens with the Supreme Court case, it's gonna be a shitstorm. It really is.